Okay, welcome back to our lectures, CA Foundation free lectures, accounts. We are in a second chapter called Capital and Revenue Transactions. 70 to 80% of our chapter is completed. Just 10 minutes I will revise the total concept and then we will do some MCQs in exam point of view. Okay, first of all, let's get started. Types of transactions: capital transactions, revenue transactions. Then there is 5 concepts, important concept. First one, capital expenditure, revenue expenditure, capital receipt, revenue receipt, deferred revenue expenditure. Under that, first one, capital expenditure. What is meant by capital expenditure? Expenditure incurred on purchase, alteration or improvement of fixed asset is capital expenditure. That means you know that there are 3 hidden sentences are there. First one, expenditure incurred on purchase of fixed asset. Second one, expenditure incurred on alteration of fixed asset. Third one, expenditure incurred on improvement of fixed asset. These 3 are examples for, three expenditures are capital expenditures. I repeat, capital expenditure means expenditure incurred on purchase of fixed asset, expenditure incurred on alteration of fixed asset, expenditure incurred on improvement of fixed asset. Okay, purchase of fixed asset, alteration of fixed asset, improvement of fixed asset. First one, purchase of fixed asset. For example, let me take an example. We are purchasing a building. First of all, tell me, building is fixed asset or not? Fixed asset. So we are purchasing building. That means we are purchasing fixed asset. So that is capital expenditure. You can see on your screen, purchase of fixed asset. Purchase of land. Land is also fixed asset. So that is capital expenditure. Purchase of land, capital expenditure. Purchase of building, capital expenditure. Second one, alteration of fixed asset. Let me take one example. For example, we are in a apartment that is called residential property. We are changing that apartment to the commercial purpose, like a shopping mall. We are changing our residential home to the shopping mall. We are altering our residential home to the shopping mall. That means we are altering the total fixed asset. So that means we are altering our house. That means we are altering a fixed asset. That is also capital expenditure. Okay, purchase of fixed asset or alteration of fixed asset. These both are revenue expenditures. For example, we are converting our residential property to the, for example, for restaurant purpose. We are changing our residence property as a restaurant. That means we are altering. That means we are altering our home to a restaurant. So whatever expenditure incurred on purchase of fixed asset or expenditure incurred on alteration of fixed asset is a capital expenditure. Third one is improvement of fixed asset. This is important one. Whatever expenditure we are incurred for improving the fixed efficiency, important word, efficiency. That means I will tell you an example, then you will get a clarity. For example, let me take this building only. This building has 2 floors. We need to construct another floor on the same building. That means we are improving the asset. That means we are constructing the 3rd floor on this same building. What will happen? The efficiency of building will happen. That means we will get more revenue by lending to the others, or we can use it for our business purpose also. That means we are improving our asset. Let me take, we will construct another classroom on the outside of the this classroom. We are extending our classroom. We are creating another classroom. So whatever this improvement also capital expenditure, because we are constructing another asset, that means that asset will generate future profit. You know the definition of asset, right? Asset is a resource which generates future profit, is called asset. So the other classroom will get future profits will. So that's why that is capital expenditure, that is asset. Okay. Let me summarize the total capital expenditure meaning. Expenditure incurred on purchase, alteration or improvement of fixed asset is capital expenditure. Examples: purchase of car, purchase of vehicle, purchase of building, all these. Next one, a revenue expenditure. Expenditure incurred in running of the business is called revenue expenditure. Whatever the expenditure will incur for running the business is a revenue expenditure. Examples: cost of petrol, anything. Expenditure incurred in running in the business. అంటే ఒక బిజినెస్ రన్ చేయడానికి కావాల్సినటువంటి ఎక్స్పెండిచర్స్ని రెవెన్యూ ఎక్స్పెండిచర్ అంటారు. బెస్ట్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇన్ మై పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ శాలరీ. మనం శాలరీ పే చేయకపోతే ఎంప్లాయీ ఆఫీస్కి రారు, ఎంప్లాయీ రాకపోతే నో ప్రొడక్షన్ లేకపోతే నో సేల్స్ లేకపోతే నో ప్రాఫిట్. సో బిజినెస్ రన్ అవ్వాలంటే ఖచ్చితంగా ఎంప్లాయీస్ కావాలి, ఖచ్చితంగా వీ హ్యావ్ టు పే salaries. So this salary is compulsory for running the business. So these expenditure is compulsory for running the business. ఏ ఎక్స్పెండిచర్ అయితే బిజినెస్ రన్ చేయడానికి కంపల్సరీ అవుతాయో ఆ ఎక్స్పెండిచర్స్ని కాల్డ్ రెవెన్యూ ఎక్స్పెండిచర్. I cannot call compulsory. Whatever we incurred for running the business is a revenue expenditure. We are purchasing the asset that is not at all important for by running the business, that is irrelevant. Okay. For example, if we are paying rent, that is compulsory. If there is no rent, we can't running our business activities. That is compulsory. But we are purchasing asset is not a revenue activity because there is asset is creating. But here no asset is creating, but that is important for running our business activity. I hope you are getting my point. So best example, salaries. I will give you one more clue. Whatever the items will come under P&L account debit side or trading account debit side or revenue expenditures. You can take salary, rent, interest, electricity bill, water charges, gas charges. All these are revenue expenditure because they are necessary for running the business. I hope you got my point. So capital expenditure means for purchasing, alteration or improvement of fixed asset. Revenue expenditure means expenditure incurred for running the business. That is the major difference between these 2 points. That means capital expenditure is asset, revenue expenditure is an expense. Next important concept is capitalized expenditure. This I think this is the most important concept. Just give me a minute. I'll come back. Okay, capitalized expenditure. This expenditure is connected with the purchase of fixed asset. You can see connected with the purchase of fixed asset. That means whatever the expenditure we incurred, if that is connected with the purchase of fixed asset, that is also called capital expenditure. What is meant by connected with the purchase of fixed asset? అంటే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మనం ఒక ఏసీ పర్చేజ్ చేసాం, ఓకే, ఏసీ పర్చేజ్ చేసాం. ఆ ఏసీ వచ్చింది, మన ఇంటికి ఏసీ డెలివరీ చేశారు. ఆ ఏసీ నుంచి మనం బెనిఫిట్ అరైవ్ అవ్వాలంటే ఆ ఏసీని వాళ్ళకి ఫిక్స్ చేయాలి. ఆ ఫిక్స్ చేయడానికి ఒక పర్సన్ వస్తారు, ఆ పర్సన్ మనం కొంత అమౌంట్ పే చేయాలి. సో వాట్ ఎవర్ వీఆర్ ఇంకర్డ్ దట్ ఎక్స్పెండిచర్ ఈజ్ రిలేటెడ్ టు ది ఫర్ ది పర్చేజ్ ఆఫ్ ఏసీ. If there is no AC, no installation cost. So whatever we incurring for installation of that AC is called capital expenditure. Okay. If you take any example, let me take if you purchased a machine. For erecting that machine, you need some expert. For that expert, you have to pay 1 lakh rupees fee. That 1 lakh rupees fee you are incurring just because of you purchased that machinery. If you haven't purchased that machinery, there is no concept of installation, so there is no concept of that particular person. Just because of you are purchased that machine, you need to incur some expenditure. So that is related to the purchase of machinery. So that cost is also a machinery cost. That means we have to add that cost to the asset cost. That means whatever we are paying to installation of AC, we should add that AC installation cost to the AC cost. Let me give you an example, you will get clarity. For example, AC cost 35,000, మనం పర్చేజ్ చేసాం 35,000కి. ఆ పర్సన్ ఇన్స్టాలేషన్ చేసినందుకు గాను మనకు 1,000 రూపీస్ పే చేస్తాం, దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ ఇన్స్టాలేషన్ కాస్ట్. ఆ కాస్ట్ మనం ఎందుకు అరైవ్ అయ్యామంటే జస్ట్ బికాజ్ ఆఫ్ వి పర్చేజ్ దట్ ఏసీ. సో టోటల్ కాస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఏసీ ఈక్వల్స్ టు 35,000 rupees plus 1,000, 36,000 is our AC cost. In our books of accounts, we will record AC account debtor to cash account 36,000, not 35,000. Okay. You can see example on your screen. Wages paid for installation of machinery. So whatever we are paying to for installation of asset is a capital expenditure. Next one, treatment of capital and revenue expenditure. So till now we know that what is capital expenditure, what is revenue expenditure. Now we will discuss about what is the treatment of these two expenditure in my books of accounts. So in my books of account, that means capital expenditure is an asset, right? So is an asset, so it will come under balance sheet asset side. But revenue expenditure is an expenditure, so it will come under either trading account debit side or P&L account debit side, because this is expenditure. Simple. Capital expenditure is asset, so it will come under balance sheet asset side. Revenue expenditure is expenditure, so it will come under P&L account debit side or trading account debit side. Sir, P&L account debit side okay sir, salaries rent వస్తాయి. Trading account debit side ఏముంటాయి సార్ అంటే wages, that is also my revenue expenditure, right? So that is the example for trading account debit side. And next one, revenue receipts. Receipts is nothing but income, revenue income. a receipt or income which are received by the business entity in the course of normal activity or revenue receipt. Simple. In the normal course of business activity, whatever we are receiving or whatever we are earning, the income is called revenue receipt. ఓకే, అంటే మన బిజినెస్ యొక్క నార్మల్ యాక్టివిటీలో భాగంగా ఏదైతే మనకి ఇన్కమ్ వస్తుందో ఆ రిసీట్ని, ఆ ఇన్కమ్ని రెవెన్యూ రిసీట్ అంటారు. ఎందుకంటే దట్ ఈస్ ఇన్ ద నార్మల్ కోర్స్ ఆఫ్ యాక్టివిటీ. బెస్ట్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, గూడ్స్ సేల్ చేసాం, ఇన్కమ్ వచ్చింది, రెవెన్యూ. ఎందుకు రెవెన్యూ అంటే సెల్లింగ్ ఆఫ్ గూడ్స్ ఇస్ మై నార్మల్ యాక్టివిటీ. నెక్స్ట్ వన్, క్యాపిటల్ రిసీట్. Capital receipts is nothing but not revenue receipts. Best example, we are selling our asset and we are receiving money. That is not my normal activity. My normal activity is producing goods and selling of goods. Okay, but selling of building is not my normal activity. My normal activity is producing goods and selling goods, or purchasing goods, selling goods. This is my normal activity. My normal activity is not to purchase building, sale of building. So that is because that is asset, and that too that is not my normal activity. So that is my capital receipt, not revenue receipt. I hope you got clarity, you got full clarity. Okay, revenue receipts means whatever we are receiving in the normal course of activity is called revenue receipt. That means we are selling the goods and receiving the money. Capital receipts means whatever we are earning not in the course of normal activity. When మనం బిల్డింగ్ సేల్ చేస్తాం, that is not my normal activity. My normal activity is selling of goods and producing of goods. Building sale చేయడం, that is not my normal activity. So whatever we are receiving on selling of that asset, or we can call that building, that is my capital receipt, not revenue receipt. Okay, if it is normal course of activity, that is revenue receipt, otherwise that is capital receipt. Best example, selling of goods, whatever we are receiving, that is revenue receipt. Selling of asset, whatever we are receiving, that is capital receipt. Next concept, capital profits. Capital అనే వర్డ్ ఉందంటే somewhere it is related to asset. That is a clue. So capital profit means it is the profit which is earned on the sale of fixed asset. సో మనం ఒక ఫిక్స్డ్ అసెట్ని సేల్ చేసేటప్పుడు వచ్చేటటువంటి ప్రాఫిట్నే క్యాపిటల్ ప్రాఫిట్ అంటారు. క్యాపిటల్ అని ఉందంటే ఇంటర్నల్ మీనింగ్ ఏంటి సార్ అంటే దట్ ఈస్ రిలేటెడ్ టు అసెట్. క్యాపిటల్ ప్రాఫిట్ అంటే నీ మైండ్లో ఏమి రికలెక్ట్ అవ్వాలంటే అసెట్ ప్రాఫిట్. దట్ మీన్స్ వీఆర్ సెల్లింగ్ సమ్ ఫిక్స్డ్ అసెట్, ఆన్ దట్ వీఆర్ గెటింగ్ సమ్ ప్రాఫిట్. దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ క్యాపిటల్ ప్రాఫిట్. Now you can easily guess revenue profit. What is revenue profit? In the ordinary course of business, whatever we are earning the profit, that is called revenue profit. Capital profit means profit earned on the sale of fixed asset. Revenue profit means in the ordinary course of business, whatever we are earned, that is called revenue profit. Capital loss, the loss suffered on sale of fixed asset is capital loss. Revenue loss suffered in the ordinary course of business is revenue loss. That means whatever the profit earned on sale of fixed asset is capital profit. Whatever the profit earned in the ordinary course of business, that is purchase and sale of goods or produce and sale of goods, that is revenue profit. Whatever the loss suffered on the sale of fixed asset is capital loss. Whatever the loss suffered on the ordinary course of business, that is called revenue loss. Four important concepts are important: capital profit, revenue profit, capital loss, revenue loss. These four are important. Capital profit and capital loss are related to the asset. Revenue profit and revenue loss are related to the ordinary course of business. Okay, ఆర్డినరీ కోర్స్ ఆఫ్ బిజినెస్ అంటే ఏం లేదు నాన్న, దేర్ నార్మల్ యాక్టివిటీ. అంటే వాళ్ళ బిజినెస్లో భాగం ఏంటంటే పర్చేజ్ చేసి సేల్ చేయొచ్చు, లేదా ప్రొడ్యూస్ చేసి సేల్ చేయొచ్చు. వాళ్ళ నార్మల్ బిజినెస్ యాక్టివిటీ ఏదంటారు దాన్ని ఆర్డినరీ కోర్స్ ఆఫ్ బిజినెస్ అంటారు. అంటే వాళ్ళ బిజినెస్ నార్మల్ యాక్టివిటీనే ఆర్డినరీ కోర్స్ ఆఫ్ బిజినెస్ అంటే కొన్ని సందర్భాల్లో నార్మల్ యాక్టివిటీ అంటారు. ఎనీథింగ్ ఈజ్ ఓకే, బెటర్ వర్డ్ ఈజ్ ఇన్ ద ఆర్డినరీ కోర్స్ ఆఫ్ బిజినెస్ వాట్ ఎవర్ దే ఆర్ ఎర్నింగ్ దట్ ఈస్ రెవెన్యూ ప్రాఫిట్, వాట్ ఎవర్ దే సఫర్డ్ that is revenue loss. If it is asset, that will be capital profit or capital loss. Next important some concepts. First one, repairs. Repair expenditure is normally a revenue expenditure, but if that expenditure is related to the for bringing an asset to the working condition, that means that expenditure is important for that putting that asset to the working condition, that is capital expenditure. Generally repairs are revenue expenditure only. If that expenditure is incurred for bringing that asset to the working condition, then that will be capital expenditure. Simple. Repairs generally revenue. If that is important, that means that is incurred for bringing the asset to the working condition, that will be capital expenditure. Next one, wages. Wages are normally a revenue nature, that means revenue expenditure. Because this is revenue, it will come under trading account debit side. 2 wages. If you remember, trading account debit side 2 wages. But if that wages are related to the construction or installation of fixed asset, then that is capital expenditure. Okay, and normally they are a revenue expenditure. If that expenditure is related to the construction or installation of fixed asset, that is capital expenditure. Preliminary expenses means the expenditure incurred in the formation of company is called preliminary expenses. You will learn this concept in your CA Inter in the company law. You will learn what is preliminary expenses in detailed manner. As of now, preliminary expenses means the expenditure incurred for formation of company is preliminary expenditure. That is one time expenditure, so that is called capital expenditure. Whatever the expenditure we incurred for preliminary expenses is a capital expenditure, because that is only one time expenditure. That means we are incurring that expenditure at the time of formation of company. Because that is capital expenditure, that is asset, so we will record on balance sheet asset side to preliminary expenditures. Next one, brokerage, government stamp duty, legal expenses. All these are compulsory for registering an asset or transferring an asset, because these are compulsory, and for the asset purchase or transfer, so that is capital expenditure, because that is not revenue expenditure, that is not a routine transaction. If it is a purchase of asset or transfer of asset, the charges are compulsory. You have to incur for the purpose of that particular transaction, so that is called capital expenditure. Raw materials and stores. Whatever the materials or whatever the stores we have, generally they are revenue nature. If that materials or stores used for consuming for making a fixed asset, that should be treated as a capital expenditure. సో రా మెటీరియల్స్ కానీ స్టోర్స్ కానీ ఉంటాయి కదా జనరల్గా మన దగ్గర, వాటిని జనరల్గా మనం రెవెన్యూ నేచర్ అని పిలుస్తాం. ఇఫ్ దట్ ఎక్స్పెండిచర్ ఈజ్ ఇంకర్డ్ ఫర్ మేకింగ్ ఏ ఫిక్స్డ్ అసెట్ ఈజ్ క్యాపిటల్ ఎక్స్పెండిచర్. ఐ విల్ గివ్ యూ ద బెస్ట్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, ఫైనెస్ట్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్. అవర్స్ ఈజ్ ఏ సిమెంట్ మ్యానుఫ్యాక్చరింగ్ బిజినెస్. సో సిమెంట్ మ్యానుఫ్యాక్చరింగ్ బిజినెస్ కాబట్టి మన దగ్గర సిమెంట్ బ్యాగ్స్ ఉంటాయి. ఆ సిమెంట్ బ్యాగ్స్ మనం పర్చేజ్ చేసి సేల్ చేస్తున్నాం అనుకుందాం. అలా అయితే మనకు ఆ సిమెంట్ బ్యాగ్స్ స్టోర్స్, దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ ఇన్వెంటరీ అవుతాయి. మనం ఆ బ్యాగ్స్ని నార్మల్గా ఉంటే అవి రెవెన్యూ ఎక్స్పెండిచరే, కానీ మనం ఆ బ్యాగ్స్ని సిమెంట్ యూజ్ చేసుకొని మనం ఒక బిల్డింగ్ని కనుక కన్స్ట్రక్ట్ చేస్తే అప్పుడు ఆ సిమెంట్ కాస్ట్ వచ్చేసి క్యాపిటల్ ఎక్స్పెండిచర్ అవుతుంది, నాట్ రెవెన్యూ ఎక్స్పెండిచర్. బికాస్ that is we are incurred for construction of fixed asset. I hope you are getting my point. That means we are consuming that cement bags for constructing a building. That means we are consuming that store or raw material, whatever you call, for constructing a fixed asset or for making a fixed asset. Then that is capital expenditure, not revenue expenditure. Even though it is a cement company, but here we are making an asset, that is fixed asset, that is building. So that cement cost here is capital expenditure, not revenue expenditure. Okay. Next one, development expenditure. Whatever the expenditure incurred for development of mines and plantations should be treated as a capital expenditure. Know the concept of mines and plantation? Whatever the expenditure were incurred for improving that mine or improving that plantation, it relates to the oil exploration, that oil or petrol. This mines and plantation purpose కోసం ఇంప్రూవ్మెంట్ కోసం ఏదైనా ఎక్స్పెండిచర్ ఇంకర్ అయితే కనుక that improvement expenditure is a capital expenditure, not revenue expenditure, because we are improving that mine or plantation efficiency, or you can call capacity. So that is capital expenditure, not revenue. I hope you got a clarity. I'll give you 2 minutes just to read all these concepts. Then I will show you some questions. Let us solve some MCQs. Then you will get a full clarity and you will get a satisfaction. I will just scroll all the slides, just see the slides and revise the total concepts. Okay, treatment of capital and revenue expenditures. Capital expenditure balance sheet, revenue expenditure, trading and P&L account debit side. You know that revenue receipts, capital receipts not of a revenue nature. Capital profits, capital loss, after this chapter will then next chapter or next concept onwards will open ICA study material, and from the study material we'll go through the remaining concept. Whatever these two chapters happened or completed for totally basics, not at all your subject is started. In fact, whatever we discussed till now is basics, even though some questions may ask from this basics, but that the main subject will start from this next chapter. Even though I think you will get 8 to 10 marks from this two, whatever the two chapters completed till now, but from next chapter onwards I'll open your ICA board material, and we along with that study material I'll give some inputs. You will get a total clarity, no doubt in that. Okay, just revenue profit. I hope all of you are following my classes and preparing well. Next concept is revenue loss. Capital profit, capital loss, and revenue profit, revenue loss is over. Then repairs and wages and preliminary and brokerage, these 4 or 5 points important. Please go through the total 5 concept in a just quick revision manner, very quick manner. Repairs are generally revenue nature. If that is incurred for any asset, bringing that asset to the working condition, that is capital expenditure, generally revenue expenditure. That is the total concept of that repairs. Wages are also generally revenue nature. If that is incurred for erecting a machinery or for installation of or construction of fixed asset, is called a capital expenditure. Okay. Next one, preliminary expenses. Speed. I will do some MCQs and in today's class itself. In next class, we'll complete this chapter and we'll go to the next concept. From next class onwards, it will be more interesting. Brokerage, government stamp duty, legal expenses, all are capital expenditure. There is no doubt in that. Last concept, raw materials and stores. Sorry, I think one more concept is their development expenditure. Last but one concept. Generally revenue, if that is issued in the purchase or making of asset or construction of asset, that will be capital expenditure. Last concept, development expenditure. Okay. Then I'll open MCQ. Please be attentive. Yes. You can look at your screen. I'll zoom it. First MCQ, you can look at your screen. And after that, I'll just give me the answer like A, B, or C, or D. Focus on the options and question as well, and give me the proper option A, B, C, or D. Okay, let me solve. An expenditure is capital in nature when the receiver of amount is going to utilize the purchase of fixed asset. No. Option C చూడండి ఒకసారి, పెయిడ్ యాజ్ ఇంట్రెస్ట్ ఆన్ లోన్ అంట. ఇంట్రెస్ట్ ఆన్ లోన్ పే చేయడానికి క్యాపిటల్ ఎక్స్పెండిచర్కి ఏమైనా సంబంధం ఉందా సార్? క్యాపిటల్ ఎక్స్పెండిచర్ అంటే ఫిక్స్డ్ అసెట్ పర్చేజ్ చేయడం. సో సి ఈజ్ ఎలిమినేటెడ్. డి, మెయింటైన్స్ ఏ ఫిక్స్డ్ అసెట్. ఫిక్స్డ్ అసెట్ మెయింటైన్ చేయడానికి క్యాపిటల్ సంబంధం ఏముంది? దర్ ఈజ్ నో పర్చేజ్ కదా, సో దట్ ఈజ్ ఆల్సో ఎలిమినేటెడ్. ఆప్షన్ బి చూడండి అన్న, ఇంక్రీజెస్ క్వాంటిటీ ఆఫ్ ఫిక్స్డ్ అసెట్. అంటే ఏంటి? మన దగ్గర 5 బిల్డింగ్స్ ఇంకో బిల్డింగ్ పర్చేజ్ చేస్తున్నాం. ఇంక్రీజింగ్ ద క్వాంటిటీ, క్వాంటిటీ మీన్స్ నెంబర్, that means we are increasing the number of fixed asset, so that is capital expenditure. So option B is the correct answer. Next, see the question number 2 and give me the option. Speed. So capital expenditure are recorded in option A balance sheet, option B profit and loss account, option C trading account, option D manufacturing account. You tell me the answer. We discussed the concept of treatment of capital expenditure and revenue expenditure. Capital expenditure will come under balance sheet asset side because that is my asset, purchase of asset or alteration or improvement of asset. So that is my capital expenditure. So that is my asset. So that will come under balance sheet. So option A. Question number 3. Which of the following transaction is of capital in nature? What is a capital in nature? See the options and give me the proper answer, a correct answer. Purchase of truck, replacement of old truck, cost of repairing of truck. Option D, all of the above. A or D or B or C? Purchase of truck, option A is correct, because you can see option C, cost of repairing of truck. Repair is a revenue expenditure, we know that. So there is no chance of D, all of the above, because C is wrong, there is no D. So option A is correct answer. Question number 4. 5,000 rupees incurred for upgradation of computer by installation of 128 MB RAM. We are installing one more RAM 128 MB. That means we are increasing the efficiency of that laptop or computer. That means we are increasing the efficiency of that asset. So that is capital expenditure. Entrance fee of 2,000 rupees received by a club is a dash. ఎంట్రన్స్ ఫీ 2000 రూపీస్ క్లబ్ నుంచి రిసీవ్ చేసుకుంటే కనుక ఇది క్లబ్ రిసీవ్ చేసుకుంటే ఏమవుతుంది అంటున్నాడు. ఐ టోల్డ్ యూ మెనీ టైమ్స్, ఇఫ్ ఎనీ రిసీట్ ఈజ్ రొటీన్ ఇన్ నేచర్, దట్ ఈజ్ రెవెన్యూ ఎక్స్పెండిచర్. ఇఫ్ దట్ ఈజ్ నాట్ రొటీన్, దట్ ఈజ్ ఓన్లీ లైఫ్ టైమ్ ఆర్ వన్ టైమ్ పేమెంట్ ఆర్ రిసీట్ అయితే దట్ ఈజ్ క్యాపిటల్ ఇన్ నేచర్. If that receipt is routine in nature, that is capital nature. That means we are receiving entrance fee. That means that is routine in nature. For example, one person came, he paid 20,000 rupees fee, and after that again another day will come, again he has to pay 20,000 rupees to me, because that is entrance fee. Every time he has to pay to me. Then that is revenue receipt, not capital receipt. Okay, if that is a life membership fee, that is the other case, that is only one time payment or one time receipt to us, then that is capital receipt. See question number 6. Life membership fee received by a club, what is that? Capital receipt, option D. See question number 7 and give me the answer. Okay, కాస్ట్ ఆఫ్ గూడ్స్ పర్చేజ్డ్ ఫర్ రీసేల్ ఈజ్ అన్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఆఫ్. మనం గూడ్స్ పర్చేజ్ చేసాం సార్, పర్పస్ ఏంటంటే రీసేల్కి. మనం పర్చేజ్ చేసి సేల్ చేస్తున్నాం, దట్ ఈస్ అవర్ నార్మల్ కోర్స్ ఆఫ్ యాక్టివిటీ, దట్ మీన్స్ ఆర్డినరీ కోర్స్ ఆఫ్ బిజినెస్. వాట్ ఎవర్ ద incur that is called revenue expenditure. Simple. Option B, seventh one B. Import duty of raw material purchased. We are purchasing raw material, for that we have to pay import duty. Tell me what is the answer. We are purchasing raw material, that means we are purchasing goods itself, that is revenue transaction, so that is also revenue expenditure. If it is asset, that will be capital expenditure, because that is not an asset, that is revenue in nature, revenue expenditure. Received from Solomon and Co. invoice for 1500 rupees for repairs to factory walls. Important, if my guess is correct, 50% of the students will opt wrong answer. You can try on your own. In one of the batch, student asked me, sir, we are receiving, no sir, so that is receipt, but there is no concept of receipt in the option, so option D none of this, sir. స్టూడెంట్ అడిగిన డౌట్ ఏంటంటే, సార్ ఇక్కడ రిసీవ్డ్కి ఇస్తారు, సో మనకి రిసీట్కి ఇస్తారు, ఇక్కడ రిసీట్ అని లేదు కదా, సో ఆప్షన్ డి నన్ ఆఫ్ ది అబౌవ్ సార్ అన్నాడు. బట్ ద ఆన్సర్ ఈజ్ రెవెన్యూ ఎక్స్పెండిచర్. వీఆర్ రిసీవింగ్ ఇన్వాయిస్, నాట్ పేమెంట్. దట్ మీన్స్ వీఆర్ రిసీవింగ్ బిల్, పేపర్, నాట్ అమౌంట్. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, మీరు సర్వీస్ సెంటర్కి వెళ్తే కానీ మీకు ఒక బిల్ ఇస్తారు, ఇంత బిల్ అయింది సార్, 3000 రూపీస్ బిల్ అయిందని మీకు బిల్ ఇస్తారు. That is, you are receiving just a paper bill, you have to pay that amount. ఓకే, రెస్టారెంట్కి వెళ్తే మీరు బిల్ ఇస్తారు, మనం బిల్ మనం పే చేయాలి, వాళ్ళు పే చేస్తారు, మనకి మనం పే చేయాలి. సో దట్ ఈస్ ఎక్స్పెండిచర్, వీఆర్ రిసీవింగ్ ఇన్వాయిస్, నాట్ క్యాష్. ఓకే, సో ఆన్సర్ ఈజ్ ఆప్షన్ ఏ, రెవెన్యూ ఎక్స్పెండిచర్. 10th one. Compensation received from government for compulsory acquisition of land. For acquiring a land, government has 100% right. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, ఇప్పుడు గవర్నమెంట్కి ఈ క్లాస్ రూమ్ కావాలంటే వాళ్ళు వచ్చి అక్వైర్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. వాళ్ళకి దెర్ ఈజ్ నో రిస్ట్రిక్షన్ అట్ ఆల్. దే కెన్ అక్వైర్ దిస్ క్లాస్ రూమ్, దే విల్ పే సమ్ కాంపెన్సేషన్ టు అస్, బికాస్ ఇన్ అవర్ ఇండియా గవర్నమెంట్కి అంత పవర్ ఉంది. మనకి కోర్టుకెళ్ళే రైట్ ఉంది, కానీ గవర్నమెంట్తో మనం పెట్టుకుంటే గవర్నమెంట్కి గెలుస్తుంది, ఎందుకంటే గవర్నమెంట్కి వీ హ్యావ్ ఫుల్ రైట్స్. సో గవర్నమెంట్కి ఏదైనా ల్యాండ్ కావాలంటే వాళ్ళు అక్వైర్ చేసుకోవచ్చు, దే విల్ పే సమ్ కాంపెన్సేషన్ టు యూ, దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ కాంపెన్సేషన్ ఫర్ ఎక్విజిషన్ ఆఫ్ ల్యాండ్. So whatever that compensation received is capital receipt, that is not my normal activity. So the answer is capital receipt. Check in the options, where is the capital receipt? No, there is no option. So option D, none of the above is correct answer. 11th one, important. All revenue receipts and expenditures are shown in dash. Revenue expenditures and receipts are shown in balance sheet, trading and P&L account, cash flow, statement of affairs. Option is option B. You know that very clear, because that is expenditure. We discussed in the concept called treatment of capital and revenue expenditure, right? Capital expenditure will come under balance sheet, revenue will come under trading or P&L account debit side. Yes or no? Fourteenth one, this is the exam question for CMA Inter foundation level. amount 5,000 rupees spent as a lawyer fee to defend suit claiming that farm's factory is belonging to the plaintiff's land. So we are paying 5,000 rupees to the lawyers for a particular case. That is a revenue in nature because that is not creating any asset to me. Okay. Sixteenth example of capital expenditure. Give me the answer. I'll show you option D also. All of the above is option D. Option D is all of the above. You can see on your screen. I'll just zoom it. Yes, option A is purchase of plant, building, machinery, furniture. That all the asset we are purchasing fixed asset. Option A is correct. Option B, cost of leasehold building. That is also correct. Option C, cost of goodwill. We know that goodwill is an asset. That is also correct. So option D, all of the above is correct. See the question number 17. So amount paid to buy a computer for office use. That means we are purchasing an asset. So that is capital expenditure. Option B. See question number 18. Example of revenue expenditure. Repairs, insurance premium, salary, wages, all will come under P&L account debit side. So that is also a revenue expenditure. So that is all the above. Option D is correct answer. Question number 20. Capital expenditure is formed of option A balance sheet, option B P&L account, option C both A and B, option D none of the above. So what is that? We know that very clear. Capital expenditure is asset, so it will come under balance sheet asset side. So option A is correct answer. Yes. Okay. In next class we will discuss deferred revenue expenditure. With that we will complete our chapter number 2. From next concept onwards we will open your ICA board material and we will discuss in very detailed manner, and it will be very helpful to you. And share with your friends, anybody needy. Okay. Thank you. All the best. In next class, students are advised to bring a ICA study material of your CA foundation. Okay. Bye. Students are advised to bring a ICA study material. Okay. All the best. Bye. Thank you.